Heavy Beat is a platformer game that I've been following through development for a little while. It's made by Altray Digital, which consists of one person. Yep, one person made this game by themselves with no budget, and they've been pushing out videos during the creation process and alphas on their YouTube channel, which is also named Altray Digital. Funny that. I dropped a few comments here and there with suggestions for what to do, and as a result the creator was kind enough to send me a copy of the game for free. So far it hasn't been released on Steam. It's currently hosted on itch.io as the developer is a bit unfamiliar with Steam's upload processes and wants to take a little bit of time to make sure that they release it properly on there, if they choose to do so. As such, it's a little different than what I normally review on here, but I appreciate that starting out making games is difficult, and I thought it would be nice to spread the word a little about a fresh creator. And whilst it is on sale at the moment for $4.99, which is £3.61 or €4.21 if you're not British, the developer told me they're planning on making the game free to play from this Monday, the 6th of September 2021, and they're doing a cash prize for top leaderboard scores within a week from that same date. All you have to do to enter the draw is subscribe to the Altray Digital YouTube channel and play the game. The website showing the leaderboards is www.altraydigital.com, which will be linked in the description, as will the YouTube channel. The game has two modes, a runner mode and a tower mode. When you choose what mode you want, you then get a choice of music. The game itself supplies two songs, Adrenaline Rush and Assurance of Consequence. I knew you could compete for leaderboards in the game, but I did wonder how, if you can choose music yourself, which you can, that would be measured. But it turns out these two supplied songs are the leaderboard songs, so if you want to compete, you have to do it to one of these two. They're decent beats, good enough to be able to play a few times in a row, even if you're not much an EDM fan, which is always a bonus. The music is a key part of this game, as the features play off the song you choose, as does the general tone of the game. You can choose any kind of song you want, from rock music to indie to memes to anime intros and OSTs if you're a weeb, and the music quality is as good as the songs you provide. When you hit browse, the game opens up your file explorer and you choose a song from there. If you're someone who only ever uses online music like Spotify, you might be out of luck, but for me, the weird person that still has 800 WAV files in my music folder, it's easy as hell. The game supports a wide variety of music file types, not just MP3 and WAV. I believe the developer outlines everything the game supports in their videos on YouTube, but if you're still not sure, you could check the website or email the dev. There's also no limit on length of track for uploading as far as I can tell, since I managed to upload Bury the Light, which is a 9.5 minutes long OST from Devil May Cry 5, without any issue at all. And it always takes just a split second. No long wait for uploads is always good. Now, as you may have guessed from the disclaimer, I'm gonna have to be careful to not get copyright claimed since I played the levels with real music. Talk about a minefield. The main goal of the runner is to collect diamonds, travel the furthest distance in the time the song is playing, and try not to die. Of course, this means if your song is 7 minutes long, you've got 7 minutes to accrue points. But since your individual songs aren't part of the leaderboards, you'd have to make your own per specific songs to record it. The controls are simple: WSD to forward, left, backward, right, left control to slide, and left mouse on the tower mode to use the grapple. Oh, and spacebar to jump. That's an important one. The track you run on is randomly generated, so as you move forward, the track creates itself as you go along. It's created far enough ahead that there's no worry about waiting for tiles to appear. It generates a good distance forward. The features and obstacles in the runner mode include launch tiles to shoot you up into the air, fast tiles to keep your momentum up, there are elevator donuts that you can slide underneath with left control that jump up and down between the two layers of track, and there are teleports. The donuts I consider to be one of the more risky obstacles, since they can disappear below you if you jump on the edge of them, or if you're underneath one on the bottom layer, it can come back down and push you out the bottom of the map. You can slide through them, but if you're on the top layer and slide through and it decides to go lower, you're suddenly dropped on the bottom shelf, having to catch up quickly with where the platforms are so you don't fall. Or you could be jumping across a gap and one will rise beneath you, launching you into the air. Some of these can work in your favour, but there's also the risk that they could do the opposite. The teleports are similar. They aren't connected to each other, so you don't jump from one to the other, but what happens is you jump inside and are then released onto a brand new track. Could be top row or bottom row, and everything could be different. There could also be a hole directly in front of where you emerge, meaning you have to get that quick jump in before you fall. And you have to make sure you don't use up both of your jumps before you enter a teleport, because if you enter one in the air, you'll be released in the air, and if you don't hit the floor before you get thrown out the other end into a hole, your jumps don't return and you fall. Both of these things could be a blessing or a curse. If you're about to fall off an edge, getting into a teleport could drop you back on stable ground, or it could throw you off stable ground into a pit. It adds some challenge to the game and forces you to think fast and carefully about what you're doing as you're being whizzed around. Sometimes the jump platforms on the bottom row can launch you into a teleport on the top row that you can't see, so suddenly you're somewhere else, unexpectedly. The jumps are well distanced and you have 2 of them, so you can jump in the air or from the ground to save yourself falling off an edge or to reach a further away platform. The jumps refill as soon as your feet touch the floor again, so you can't launch really high up, jump twice, have them come back, and then keep doing it. You have to land before they return. The runner mode also increases in pace, brightness, and movement the faster your song choice is. If you have a moment of build-up in a song before the beat kicks in, the environment won't be very flashy and the platforms will be quite stationary during that period, but once it detects the beat, everything lights up and starts to move. You also get these little white pulsing balls in gaps between the squares that are bigger and more powerful the more beaty your song is as well, and these actually have collision and can also launch you upward or sideways if you get too close. Also, the track seems to work with your beat in the way I can only describe as like a wind tunnel. If you have a track with distanced beats, like for example the beginning of The Phoenix Reborn by Crown the Empire, which is a track I tried out, your actual character movement can become more difficult to manage because the points with no beat you're going slower, and then suddenly you get sped up when the drum hits by what feels like a gust of wind behind you. You can be mid-air jumping and suddenly you're flying forward, but only for a second. When you get a more consistent beat, this isn't as noticeable, but your speed does vary depending on the beat as well. And overall, the way these things interact mean that if you choose a more gentle song with not much beat, you'll have a slower and calmer game than if you choose something like Caramel Dancin'. Don't ask me why I still have that as a WAV file on my computer in 2021. The tower mode is a little different. You go for as long as the song goes, but if you die once, then you die altogether, and you die when the grid at the bottom catches you, whether that's 10 seconds in or 2 minutes. You have jump pads and fast pads to get you around, and you also have a hook, which you can latch onto balls that hover in gaps in the layers to pull yourself up. Keep in mind though, you shoot in the angle you latched onto it, so if you catch it horizontally, you'll go flying off the edge of the tower horizontally. The game reads your music in the same way as the runner, but it uses your beats not only for the flash, but to determine how fast the grid chases you. So if you get a song with fast beats, you better climb quickly because that thing will get you. It doesn't just detect heavy beats, but the heavier the beat is, the further the grid will move at each beat. Tower mode is more challenging than runner by a long shot. Not only do you have to find a jump pad amongst all of the squares there, but there are large gaps in the layers to get over. Sometimes there are 2 jump pads and one of them has a platform above it so you can't get up to the next level and the other one is clear. Sometimes you fall down a layer and have to get back up. And as said, when you die, you die. No second chances. Runner mode just gives you a 4-second delay through a tunnel and then spits you back out again if you fall off. This one shows no mercy. You have limited grapples and you can collect little boxes to gain more. Remember those pulsing balls I mentioned that can launch you off the track on runner? They're here too, and they will fling you out of the tower like a bag of garbage if you jump too close. I found it hard to make any real progress on tower with the same kind of songs I'd been using for runner. It was just catching too fast and giving me no time for mistakes. So for this mode, if you want to make good progress, I'd recommend using some gentler songs. I use things like Renegades by Ex-Ambassador, and yes, that is the song from the Jeep Renegade advert, and also KSI's Holiday. At the choruses, the beat upped a little bit, so it added some pressure, but there were gaps in between to allow me to make mistakes and recover. Although my cheeks were firmly clenched for a lot of it. In a way, it's like you get to choose your own difficulty settings by what song you pick. Common features between the two are the diamonds, which you collect for 10,000 point bonuses, and also you have 2 times score cubes that you can collect. No, they don't double every time. If you collect 2 boxes, you'll get 3 times score, 3 boxes is 4 times score, etc. Deaths cost you 20,000 points, so for the runner leaderboards, you really don't want to be dying because you can rack up 100k losses in points for dying 5 times. In tower, you take a 20k hit if you die, but you can only die once, so the only way to avoid that is to not die and complete the song. There are a couple of minor things to address, one of them being the music playing in the menu. If you upload your own music, close the game and reopen it, it will keep the songs there, but you can also delete the music you've uploaded to save tons of songs being on there. However, if a song you have on is playing and you delete it from the list, it doesn't stop playing. The song you choose for the level continues after you've completed the level, and you can't make it go away until another song is played on top. Not sure if this is a glitch. Also, when you complete a level, the game normally repeats the same song you played with when you get to the scoreboard at the end, but sometimes if you have 2 or 3 songs in the list, it'll play one of the other songs instead. Again, not sure if intentional or not. And if there was one thing overall I would change, it would be the keybind for the slide. Left control isn't a controversial choice, however it's a less comfortable hand position to have a thumb on space, A, W and D with your middle 3 fingers, and then a little finger on control. Shift would be a tad more comfortable, and I know control is commonly a crouch or slide keybind, but I think that's normally because shift is bound to sprint. With shift being unpopulated, it might have been a little better to put the slide on shift. A bit late to be making this point, I know, but it's not like it damages the play in any way. I like the way the game runs. The integration of your own music is a major plus, and the game reads the music and interprets it really well to work with the game modes. I like the choice to randomly generate, especially when it comes to leaderboards, because it means that the likelihood of one person dominating the leaderboard by muscle memory and repetition of the course is slimmed down drastically. You know there's always one person that wants to be at the top and has the spare time to run it over and over. But you can't memorise a procedurally generated route, and while some people's might end up having more difficult patches than others, in the end you know if you're on the leaderboard it's because of skill and not just running the course over and over until you dream about it. And even for the practice, it stops it getting dull and repetitive because you're not going down the same line with the same obstacles every time. The hook mechanic in the tower mode isn't actually usable as often as you may think, since not only do you have to find an anchor point, but also make sure that point won't throw you off the map, and sometimes you don't have time when the grid is chasing. It's more of an opportunistic mechanic than a main one, which isn't a criticism, but it's worth being aware it's not the sole focus. For some, the flashing lights may be a bit too much. Of course, they're flashier the more frantic your song is, so maybe if it's a bit too much, you'll have to pick a milder song to give your eyes a break. Additionally, the game has a lot of moving parts, and the teleporting and zipping around may leave some people cross-eyed a bit. It all depends on your tolerance for looking at mayhem. It will also be a downside for some people that you have to have the music you want to use available in your files, especially with music streaming services being quite prominent, but it's not too hard to download some MP3s from somewhere. You can change the colour scheme as well. There are various purple, orange, red, green, pink, yellow and blue variants that you can choose, and the colour of your jump charges and the grid at the bottom change with it to be more visible, as do some of the features like the anchor balls in the tower, and the giant sun that also pulses to the beat ahead of you in Runner. I like the game. It was easy to pick up, it can be fast, manic and challenging, and of course you're doing it to your favourite music, so what's not to love about that? The mechanics don't have any significant faults. There are a few things that can catch you out, but that's more fuel for a challenge rather than being any kind of error. Tower mode is the bigger challenge for the more hardcore of you. But also, if you want a more relaxed experience, then you can choose a nice easy song. It's all up to you the way you want to play it. I can't deny I had a lot of fun screaming down the track to all kinds of fast and loud songs. I'm not going to give this game a rating out of 10 since this review isn't going on Steam Curator, but I recommend you give it a try. All the links to the dev and the game will be in the description, and I really hope YouTube doesn't come to my house and burn me like a witch for using copyrighted music in this video.